It's most things Kenobi. And don't try it, Anakin. We always have the high ground.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Most Things Kenobi, a podcast about Obi-Wan Kenobi and all things Star Wars. I'm your host, Leanne.
And I'm your host, Lauren.
This episode, we are discussing the adorable, the odd, the respectable relationship between Anakin and Captain Rex.
Yes. What did you use to describe it last week? Oh my gosh,
Oh, no.
You used an adjective and one of our patrons was like, I think Rex would not be happy with that. It's like, yeah, but it's true.
I don't know. I don't remember what I said. Oh, cool. Now I have to go back and listen to it and try and remember.
I can't remember if it was like chaotic or whatever it was, but either way, it was an accurate description.
They're definitely chaotic, but we love them for it. It's interesting because we had just spoken about, in some ways, the Cody and Obi-Wan relationship.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more stoic and like professional compared to
Yeah. And if there's little sassy exchanges, it's very small and like
Yes.
understated.
very controlled.
Yeah.
It doesn't spiral.
Which is the opposite.
Yeah. I think majority of people, I don't know a single person who doesn't like Rex,
Yeah.
Everyone likes him in one manner or another. Some aspect of Rex people love and have grown to love him over the years and his various appearances as Star Wars media continues. Even after Anakin is removed from the picture, Rex stands on his own. But before any of that, there was Anakin and Rex and Ahsoka, of course. Like, Ahsoka and Rex are a whole other chaotic. But
Yes.
I actually really love their relationship. It's sweet.
I do too. It develops into something I think that's very deeply meaningful, especially after season
Yes.
7. How
Oh,
do you
for
go
sure.
through that and not make like a deep trauma bond
Right.
with each other?
And their hug in Rebels is just
Oh my God. Love it.
so wonderful. I don't know. I just love all of it. But
Yeah.
Anakin and Rex.
Do you think Rex I don't remember, but do you think he'll show up in the season 2 of Ahsoka?
God, I wish.
He's got to, right? They're showing the
Right.
Ghost crew, and Rex is not officially part of their crew, but he's worked with them, so that would be
God,
so awesome.
I really, really hope so. I really do. Even just to see Tim with a shaved or somewhat shaved head. Like in the Rex way of things,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. I love how Rex is really sassy. He actually
He is.
quite sassy if you
Yes.
deep dive back into his Clone Wars stuff. Even season 1, there was some reference where, I think it's season 1, where they're dealing with the rookies on the outpost, I think.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's this episode.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Because he pretends to be one of the droids, remember? And he like holds the head up
Yeah.
to the camera, and he's...
Uh-huh.
I just love that they gave him a bit of a sense of humor, because all the clones have their own personalities, but Rex to me is funny, but warm, but also a total bad.
Absolutely. And that's the reason why I think he works so well with Anakin. Because before any of Anakin's fall, he's also sassy, lighthearted, warm, affectionate in a way that he knows. Like, and it works really well with Rex. And I think they found a common ground. I mean, my favorite Anakin Rex moment is in the Point Rain series of episodes where they're on top of that wall, him and Anakin and Ahsoka, and they just throw him over and control dive down, and then
I wanted to ask you about that moment. It's kind of a weirdly controversial moment. I hadn't ever thought of it that way, but then if you go on Tumblr, because Tumblr is full of outrage.
Okay.
People were saying that was terrible for Anakin to do that to Rex. It was like violating body autonomy, throwing him off a wall without asking his permission first, like taking in no account of whether or not that would scare Rex. And are we overthinking a cartoon here? Maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
But still,
yeah.
I'm curious what you think about it.
Well, I see both sides. Okay, we have to remember that this is war. They're there different decisions are made, right? And
yeah.
I can see where Anakin's coming from, like, with not asking him, because if you know your subject and you give them a minute to think about it, they're going to say no, and then you'll disregard that choice and throw them over anyway. So might as well just wipe that part out and throw them over anyway. He's gonna be okay. Anakin would never put him in harm's way.
Yeah.
So there's a level of trust there, perhaps still developing, but it's still there.
That was one of those moments where they created some trust, I guess.
Right. But I mean, Ahsoka also went over the edge. Like, it was necessary in order for this to take place, like, for them to be safe or whatever. But in any other circumstance, I would say, yeah, give the person a choice, please.
I feel like Anakin's motto is ask forgiveness, not permission.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Which should come as no surprise to anyone in his near vicinity or under his command. That was kind of the thing about Anakin and Rex. It was, well, that's Skywalker, Is Skywalker leading us? Okay, well, get ready. It became a bit of a reputation, if you will.
I agree, yeah. I also think that both Anakin and Obi-Wan wouldn't ask their soldiers to do anything that they wouldn't do themselves. However, Anakin's measurement of what's acceptable is way different.
The baseline there is far adjusted compared to Obi-Wan. But also, at this time, had Anakin not turned, I think he would have grown up and eventually stopped that. You know what I mean? Like, there would have been more. A little bit. Yeah, there would have been more Obi-Wan influence there. I mean, because look at Ahsoka. She also mellowed out. Remember the time where she would not listen to Obi-Wan's commands? She was out fighting and she disregarded his commands.
Yeah.
I don't think she would do that in the here and now. So a lot of it can be attributed to youth.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's interesting, though. I feel like we see more moments where Ahsoka grows than Anakin growing. I feel like Anakin is obviously changing. He definitely, and even Matt Lanter said that he changed specifically the way he used his voice as Anakin got older. He deepened his voice, was calmer. But we see Ahsoka learning lessons and changing, and I feel like Anakin is more resistant sometimes. He is more certain that he's right. And
well, I was going to say he becomes more arrogant as he gets older.
Yeah.
Which effectively halts growth.
Right. That's a great point. I see, though, at the same time, Rex grows too, but he grows more like into, how do I describe it? Like, he becomes a more independent thinker. You know what I mean? In, I think, is it season 2, where he meets Cut LaQuaine? Is that his name? Cut LaQuaine?
Which one's that?
The guy who was a trooper and basically
got married and had a kid
went AWOL, and had a family.
Yeah, he went off the grid. He's the clone that went to Alaska and lived off the grid. I don't blame him.
Reconnect. He's in Bad Batch later and helps Rex later.
Oh, I think I knew that. Yeah. That's nice.
But in that episode, he is challenging Rex a lot about his ideals with being a clone, first of all, and serving because they're told to serve without a choice to serve. And Rex keeps saying, no, I'm like, I would still choose this even if I was given a choice. And then later, when you see him in the Umbara arc, that's where you see, Rex really having to stand by his own ideas, whether or not he's being told something. Like, I was like, what is his name? But then I remembered Pong Krell. Pong Krell.
Pong Krell, bitch.
Help me remember the name.
Go to Pong. You and all your 7 waddling chins.
Oh my god,
Sorry.
that's so funny. No, it's good. But Pong Krell is challenging Rex a lot because he's not only an authority figure, he's a Jedi. Mm-hmm. And Rex has to decide for his men and for himself. That is such a great arc. We should do it someday on this show.
Should.
It's just really heavy.
It is heavy. There'll be a lot of cursing on my part. But I find it interesting, that whole thing. That arc defines Rex because Anakin is removed right away from the situation. Mm-hmm. Which, if we ever do a deep dive into this arc, that I want to talk about. Why he was removed, how he was removed, why he left, all this stuff. That's interesting. But Rex, I would follow him, no questions asked, based on his behavior in those episodes. I feel for those clones so much. I think we all do. It's just a terrible and a real life play out of a situation. But what's interesting about that is that Pong Krell is obviously larger, taller, higher in rank, everything else, and Rex stands his ground. Mm-hmm. And I think had Anakin not gone the way he did, he would have been like that as a leader. He was already showing signs that he went his own way, but that usually worked out. He did what he believed in. It was tarnished a little bit. I have to say everything with a caveat because it's Anakin, but the leader part, the leader part of Anakin, him and Rex are very similar, but Rex has that clone, because he's a clone, but he has that clone respectability of they will fight and stand and believe in everything. And that's the thing that never wavers with Rex. Never. He's loyal. Doesn't matter who it's to.
Yeah.
And it's really important.
Do you think he stepped into that more because he saw Anakin doing it all the time? Or do you think, especially in Umbara specifically, do you think that was just how Rex is?
I think it's just how Rex is. But I do think, this is what I wanted to talk about too. There's the moments where he questionably knows about Padme and Anakin. And that's a different type of loyalty. Because that could be, we talk about it with Obi-Wan too. Everyone kind of knew, but nobody said anything and kind of let it go.
Yeah.
That was where I think it made Rex a little uncomfortable, but he wasn't going to betray a friend. So there's a friend aspect there. He respected Anakin and I don't know, there's a weird thing about, did the clones have crushes? How did that work? Did he understand? I don't want to belittle the clones by asking that question, but we really don't see that side of them. They loved each other like brothers, but there's no romantic, were they, I hate to say this, were they bred that way?
I don't know because technically they're only 7 years old when they're
true.
So this territory gets really sticky if you get into it because they are adults because they're quote unquote designed by the Kaminoans to develop faster. Right. But that what does that mean?
Yeah.
There is no real answer to that. I don't know. But I do feel like that was Anakin not being a good friend to Rex.
No. It was reversed. That was selfish on Anakin's part, expecting way too much of everybody. Way too much. But they, on the other side, they still gave it to him. So I do think that's why Rex is just Rex. Yeah. Because I don't know if Cody would have gone for this
Maybe one time, and then after that, Cody would be like, we're not doing this anymore.
No.
Rex is super loyal to Anakin. Anakin knows that. Anakin takes advantage of that.
Not good.
It's not fair to keep putting a friend in that situation over and over. And Rex even says in season 7, he's like, "We don't have time for that, sir." And Anakin's like, "We're making time for it." Yeah. Just so he can go have a phone call with his secret wife.
Yeah. It's actually pretty but
it is kind of like, it's funny. They use it as a bit of comic relief between Anakin and Rex, and then Anakin and Obi-Wan, when Obi-Wan's like, "I hope you told Padme I said hello." But like, Obi-Wan
stressful.
and Anakin, or Obi-Wan and Rex are actually enabling Anakin at the same time.
Yeah. But we know Obi-Wan's feelings on it, right? There's a lot of depth there. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of etc. That's why I was like, does Rex understand? There's just deeper layers with Obi-Wan. Always. As usual. Not saying that Rex isn't deep, but you know what I mean. There's all kinds of there with Obi-Wan. But
yeah.
I don't know. Do you think Rex is just Rex? Or did he have influence from it? It's hard to say that he didn't have influence from Anakin, but he is his own person.
I think that, well, I mean, that's going to happen no matter who you are. The people you're around will impact you somehow in some form. I don't know. When you see Anakin, Ahsoka, and Rex, they kind of grow together into this amalgamation. And it's interesting to see how they all change in a way that makes them all fit together like a puzzle really well. Mm-hmm. And that does end up serving Ahsoka and Rex really well in the future. Anakin, because everyone was kind of enabling him and turning a blind eye to his really red flag warning signs.
Yeah.
I think we even did an episode, didn't we?
We did.
About Anakin
I was
red
just
flags.
thinking of it. It's so good. Go back and listen to that one if you've never heard it. It's a good one.
Yeah. So the fact that they're always turning a blind eye to that made it more and more possible for him to become arrogant and to have the super sad stuff happen later.
Yeah. I do think that I think there was more influence between Rex and Ahsoka than there was Anakin and Rex, which is interesting because we're actually talking about Anakin and Rex, but we said we can't not talk about Ahsoka being a part of this. Their story continues, and it's like their leader bailed. Their leader left them. And that leaves those two subjects in a difficult and fascinating position. How do we go on, even though they didn't know at the time when they were forced to move on?
Right.
Do we know if Rex ever found out?
I was just going to ask you that.
Oh, twins.
Yeah.
We don't have a script for this, folks. We just talk.
I mean, we know that Ahsoka has that moment in Rebels.
Yeah.
At first, she feels him kind of like something familiar when they're flying near each other, I believe.
Yeah.
And then when they're fighting, she knows for sure what happened, that is what happened to Anakin. I don't remember Rebels well enough. I know we have some listeners too. Kevin, can you help me out here?
Yeah, Kev.
I don't remember if there's a moment where Rex finds out, and I would assume it would be Ahsoka telling him, because how else would he know?
What would that conversation? That would be a great. If it hasn't, I don't think it's happened. I really don't, because it's hard for me to remember Rebels too, because it's been so long since I've watched like it through. Mm-hmm. But I don't think. But they should talk. If that ever, if Rex, I'm stumbling over my words. If Rex ever shows up in the Ahsoka series, that could be a conversation, especially since she's just had a moment with Force Ghost Anakin. That could be really good story building, character furthering, etc.
Yeah. Doesn't Rex run by in that episode? Like when in her memory or her vision, whatever?
Yeah.
I thought so. Yeah. Or they at least put his voice going.
No, it's him. His helmet was there. It was his helmet.
Was it specific? Okay.
Yeah.
I've only watched it once. I need to go back and watch it again.
Ma'am. Once?
Yeah, sorry. I
know. Ma'am.
Don't come for me.
I know, I'm sorry.
It was okay. I mean, that episode was awesome. But like the show was
Listen,
okay.
I had a whole stroke, heart attack, and full cardiac arrest.
We have your recording of you screaming your
As we
message
know.
to me.
Sorry.
Oh my god. I will watch it again if there's ever gonna be a season
do whatever
2.
you want. I'm just being a troll over here.
Well, I'm that person who like we got it, and I still wished it was Obi-Wan instead. So I'm sorry.
Listen, I was waiting for Obi-Wan to run by, and he never did, and I'm still not okay with it. So I'm with you. I am with you. It would have taken 2 seconds.
It would have killed all of us, though. Like, we'd have died, and Disney would have had no more fans to pay for their features. So
They'd still be trying to resuscitate half of us.
it's true.
Who's gonna watch Andor? Try harder. Resuscitate.
Well, I'll come back from the dead to watch Andor. I'll do that.
Yeah.
And then I'll die again. So
She is risen. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
You were saying?
I have these like guilty pleasure conversations I really wished we could have. I want to see Rex find out about Anakin. We did finally see Obi-Wan find out about Anakin as Vader. That was great. I want to see Obi-Wan figuring out something about Cody. I don't know, but we never addressed that. Like, I know when Revenge of the Sith happened, Clone Wars didn't exist yet, but we got how many seasons of Obi-Wan and Cody becoming this awesome team. Cody shoots him off a wall.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
we never ever come back to that ever again. The friendship is just never mentioned, and that's that. It's like,
done.
What? I want to also know about Rex and Cody.
I know.
I really love the whole final Mandalore arc in season 7. It's very hard to watch.
Yeah.
It makes me very sad.
It does. It's heavy. It's really heavy.
It's really heavy, but it's very excellent. And the whole thing with Ahsoka saving Rex, and, you know, she gets to say I am one with the Force is with me, or whatever, and, like, takes the chip out of Rex's head or fries it, whatever they do, I don't remember. But, like, that whole sequence is incredible. And I'm really glad they did that and rescued Rex and didn't let him become the thing he would have despised, you know?
Yeah, it killed him.
Cody did become that thing. Like,
I know.
We need more.
We do. We need that conversation would be hard to watch. I would cry.
Yeah. But I still want to see
two sides. Yeah, exactly. It would be as painful. It's almost like Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yeah.
It's 2 sides of one coin. You become the thing you promised you wouldn't.
Yeah.
That element, and that's very sad. That's what makes Ahsoka and Rex so unique.
Yes.
They fought through that, literally and figuratively.
Yeah. And they were faced with kind of their worst case scenarios, especially in that season 7.
Yeah.
He was telling her they're going to kill you. So we only have the choice of fighting. That means he has to kill his brothers. And she's being faced with turning against the people who have supported her. And like 4 episodes ago had painted their helmets to look like her.
Yep.
And she has to
crazy.
say, I'm not going to hurt anyone. We're going to have to find another way. Like, the whole heaviness of all that is classic Star Wars, and I love it so much.
Well, it's so symbolic, too. It's not a slow thing. They literally flip a switch, and they're different than what you've always known.
Yeah.
That is traumatizing. You don't have time to think or reason through it. And that goes for Rex as well. So they have to make a game time decision, and the conversation of, they are not the people we know. They are not the person that we knew, Anakin. That erases any loyalty, any prior love or affection or respect that was there. And you have to move forward with that. And that is tough. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So when faced with a decision like that, it might be easier. But to be left afterwards, like when they they put the helmets up. They fall to that ice planet.
I
right?
literally
And,
just got goosebumps. Yeah.
like the graveyard of helmets. That is so symbolic of everything that changed. That's it. A part of them died. A part of their past is dead. It's and it's beautiful.
Yeah. Star Wars is pain.
But like Rex never changed. He went forward with heaviness in his heart, but he stayed true to himself, which is something that Anakin can't say until Luke shows up. But like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, there's always, I respect the out of Rex. Bottom line.
Yeah. And as we're talking about this, it's just kind of making me see Anakin is a ripple effect of pain. Like he
It's
just
terrible.
passed his trauma on to Padme, who he killed, I
Yep.
guess. And
Well-
then by default, Luke and Leia carrying this like deep soul wound without even knowing where it comes from. Ahsoka, Rex, Obi-Wan, like this, it just spreads into these people's lives where after Anakin turns or disappears or whatever to them, because I guess some of them thought he just died in Order 66,
Yeah.
there's all these people trying to deal with an extreme amount of trauma and pain, all while not being safe physically in
you're
this
right.
new empire. This is nuts. This is the kind of shit that gives people a nervous breakdown and just put me in a little chair facing a mountain, put a little blanket on my lap and feed me soup because I'm
Rock her gently, people.
yeah, I'm destroyed. Like this just would ruin me as a person.
I love what you just said, though. All because of like this one. You could say it was Palpatine too. I mean, it all
Sure.
kind of goes back to Palpatine. But
Yes, of
I'm
course.
not trying to defend Anakin. It begs the question: with the amount of ripple effect that Anakin had, was it actually the Wills? Because it's so, the magnitude of it is so huge. Remember how we always come back to, was it fate or was it
Yeah.
some kind of destiny? Was it really, like as Qui-Gon thought, you know, the whole prophecy and this, that, and the other?
Yeah.
Like, because it's a huge magnitude of terribleness.
I know, and it affects generations as
Yeah.
we see. I don't know personally what I believe about fate.
Me neither. I don't know.
I know, like, the Puritans, for example, believed everything was preordained, so what's the point, in my opinion? You know, if it's preordained,
why
then-
try?
yeah. To me, I feel less inclined to believe in fate. However, I know that George Lucas wrote some of this stuff really intending it to be fate, because it's based on Greek mythology, right? And, like, they believed in fate, at least the myths imply. Who knows? We weren't there. We weren't there in real time. We don't know what they really
Truth.
believed. But I think that a lot of the myths play with the idea of fate. And even if it's not like everything about your life is ordained, a specific spot on the map, you know, in your journey, that's going to happen. And I just think of, was it Oedipus that killed his own father by accident? I always get Oedipus and Odysseus mixed up in my head, but one of them,
Oedipus is the one that liked his mom, right?
right, but there was something about it where in the myth he learned as a young man that he would murder his own father, and he was like, well, I don't want to do that. So he went off and traveled and
Yeah.
made himself as far away as possible so that could never happen. And as he was journeying on the road, he met an old man or something, got in a fight and killed him, and it turned out that was his father, and he just didn't know it. So by trying to avoid fate, he actually walked into fate.
Well, that's like Anakin and he saw all of it.
Exactly.
And just like pieced out and left it and said, you know.
Yeah. By the very act of trying to avoid the thing, he made the thing. Because, like, with Padme, right, trying to save her to avoid the heartbreak is what created the heartbreak and the desperation.
Yeah.
I find that very interesting, but
too.
also very exhausting. Like, the idea of that being life is way too heavy for me to live with on, like, in my mind. But if you're
There's
writing
a lot there.
it is a lot. Because then
It's a thinking circle. The circle never ends.
Exactly. And then it's like, well, how does Ahsoka play it? And how does Rex play it? And then you start to like rip your hair out because you're like, I don't know how this all ties together. It makes the story super big and complex and heavy and like bloated. But I still think like having the germ of the idea that it's fate makes it interesting. And that's as much as I need to go into it. Then the rest of it is just fun and interesting and complex. I don't know, like, if the Wills intended to ruin all these lives. Because as we're seeing now, like, with Ahsoka is showing us, post Return of the Jedi world, it's not ideal. It's not like everyone's lives got better. And that's the truth about revolution, folks.
Yes.
You have a revolution, you're going to have bloody mess for a long time, like generations after it. So, I don't know. You think about it, I'm like definitely talking myself into a quagmire here. I don't know.
Well, that's what Star Wars is.
Yeah.
It's just, whenever we talk about these characters, you have to consider these angles, though, because it's... What it really is it's very painful, and we're trying to find a reason why. We're trying to figure out why.
Yes,
so painful. Not all of it was bad. Anakin and Rex, I think they really respected each other.
I do too. I think there was deep friendship there.
There was. It's sad. And again, everybody that Anakin loved, he betrayed, including Padme.
And himself.
Well, yeah, first and foremost, because there was good in there, and he turned from it.
Yeah.
That's his free choice right there. Whether the Wills ended up kind of puppet stringing or not, we always do have a choice, right? Question mark?
I know. I don't know what the midichlorians think.
Yeah, that. Okay, and Ponkrell, but like...
Yeah, our new motto is the midichlorians.
Yeah. Season 2, the midichlorian. Doesn't quite have the bite.
It doesn't.
Ponkrell. But we have questions about all of this, and it's very sad.
Yeah, because, okay, say he doesn't have free choice. That's really sad.
It is, because now all of these people are affected by this lack of free choice.
Right.
And they have to then deal with it.
And to think that he's suffering that much, because Anakin does suffer. He does. Be Vader.
His whole life is suffering and trying to get away from the suffering, or trying to trump the suffering. And that leads to more suffering. It's disgusting.
So if
Thanks,
that
Palpatine.
is preordained, that you are born to suffer.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's really sad. And... that can kind of like tie into the clones as well, because they all say we were born to fight.
We were born to die in the name of this war that was made up.
Yeah.
And why we were created. That's terrible.
Yeah. And so to see those two characters who are like quote unquote preordained, let's say, to see their paths and then they diverge like drastically, it's pretty interesting to see. Granted, Rex didn't have the childhood trauma, or a childhood, for that matter.
True.
That Anakin had. And so this has become a whole episode about nature versus nurture. I don't know.
It has to be talked about in this sense, though.
Yeah.
With Anakin and Rex, it's very interesting because Anakin had a much more quote unquote normal upbringing, in the sense of he's not a clone.
Right.
And then Rex is brought up as a clone with very specific points in his life that he has to reach, because that's why he was bred. Mm-hmm. And Rex ends up becoming more of a good human than Anakin.
Right. Right. And a freer thinker.
Is...
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's crazy, man.
That's the thing about Anakin and Rex that fascinates me, is the fact that they are they're so similar, but they're so opposite.
Yeah.
And they're opposite when it where it really counts.
Yeah. Rex is completely selfless.
Yeah. Totally opposite of Anakin.
Anakin is selfish. He has great moments of selflessness.
Yes.
That's why he's a hero. Like, he really is, but he has a string of selfishness that is his downfall, basically.
His selfless moments he wanted credit for.
That's a great point.
Thus perpetuating the ego and the selfishness. He thought he was owed something for that because of some...
It just makes me think of The Simpsons, where Homer Simpson wants to be thanked. He's just like, I like being thanked. That's Anakin.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, who doesn't? But, like, Anakin, like, thought he deserved it.
Yeah.
Like, I deserve to be made master or whatever because of X, Y, and Z. Well, no one owes you anything, first of all, and your attitude isn't going to help.
Yeah. Oh, they're fun complexity. I think they're so entertaining, and they have that deep brotherhood and friendship. Yeah. And that's why we get really invested. And that's why it's so deeply devastating when it all goes wrong at the end. It's the same as with Obi-Wan. It's like you grow with these characters together. And after watching Clone Wars, Revenge of the Sith and the Obi-Wan series is 100 times more devastating now.
Who knew it could be?
Right?
Here we are.
Didn't know it could get much worse.
But to end on a happy note, I really do. I do love their entertainment. I love the relationship that was given to us so that the pain hits harder. That's Star Wars.
I don't think there's any moment either where that friendship with Anakin and Rex gets challenged. I don't think there's a moment where they're butting heads. I don't recall one.
If it is, it's very minor.
Yeah, like maybe about Echo, I think, in season 7. Because Padme is saying, true. Rex trusts you all the time. You need to trust Rex now. But before that, like, how many years have they been together? And it's just in step with each other.
Yeah.
Complete trust because of what they've done for each other on the battlefield. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
It is incredible. Sad. Incredible and incredibly sad.
Thanks a lot, Star Wars.
So our next episode is going to be all about the Skeleton Crew because it comes out on December 3rd. 2 episodes are being released on that day, so we will watch and review and see where it goes. So join us. It's our next new show to watch.
And in our last episode, we were talking about the original concept for the Kenobi series, the original script. And we asked our listeners how they felt about Cody. Would they have liked to see Cody in the Kenobi series? And Anna Grace, a tortured poet, said, I would love for Cody to come back, but only if done right. I would love the Cody holding a knife to Obi-Wan's throat, telling him to be careful, but I'd rather have no Cody than have them ruin him.
Amen. Yes.
Yeah. And that was kind of the general consensus. We had other people message me and write in saying the same thing. Like, yes, I would love to see Cody. That'd be awesome. But please don't ruin anything.
Yeah. You got to tread delicately with that one because you will have a revolt. Yes.
Yes. An uprising. But thank you for writing in, Anna. We appreciate it.
And thank you so much for joining us here on the Most Things Kenobi podcast. We appreciate every single one of our patrons and are grateful for their support. If you would like to support the podcast and become a patron as well, head on over to the Most Things Kenobi Patreon. As always, you can follow us on Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast player. If you enjoy our podcast, feel free to rate us on Spotify and Apple. And if you need just one place to find all of these, head over to mostthingskenobi.com.
So until next time, my space twin, may the Force be with you.
Always.